Hey everybody, I am here. I'm going to give a quick guitar lesson. This guitar lesson is for beginner guitarists who maybe you picked up the guitar yesterday, or even up to intermediate guitarists that are still stuck playing mostly up here at the top of the neck using your generic, chord shapes that are taught. The goal that I have is to give you a pattern, an exercise, and a way of looking at the guitar where immediately after this you're going to be using the entire fretboard of the guitar all the way up, all the way down, and you're going to know what you're doing. I'm really excited about this because I've never seen it on YouTube the way that really clicks in my head. So I'm excited to lay this out for you. So I'm going to give you 3 shapes that we're going to learn, 3 chord shapes that we're going to learn, transitioning one from the other. I'm going to give you a pattern about how you're going to go up and down the neck, and that's pretty much it. Once you learn those 2 things, the shape changes and then the 1-4-5 pattern, how you apply that pattern to the shape changes, you're going to use the entire fretboard of the guitar. After that, I'll briefly talk about the 1-4-5 chords for those of you who don't know 1-4-5 chords. If you're a beginner guitarist, what exactly those are. We're going to go through the pattern all the way up from the top of the neck. We're going to go all the way down, and then I'm going to talk about how you can change it to fit any key for any song, and you use the exact same thing. After that, I'm going to just draw some connections about those shapes that we've been using and how those relate to the normal shapes, like your G chord, your C chord, your D chord, and how a lot of those are actually the same shapes on the guitar. I'm really excited, so let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is learn 3 chord shapes. The first chord shape, we are going to bar on the D string, the G string, and the B string on the 2nd fret. Okay, that's our first chord shape, and we're going to apply that up and down the guitar neck. Okay, from there we're going to go to our second chord shape. Our second chord shape, we're going to, from our bar, we're going to just place our 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the D string, and then our 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, right? And that's going to be our second shape. Okay, from our 2nd shape, we are going to transition to our 3rd chord shape. What we're going to do is we're going to slide our ring finger up 1 fret, and then we're going to put our 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the B string and our 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the G string. Okay, so those are our 3 chord shapes. We're always going to transition in that order as well. So we're going to have our 1st shape, we're going to go to our 2nd shape, and then we're going to go from our 2nd shape. When we transition to another shape, it'll be to our 3rd shape right there. After you've practiced and you've kind of mastered those 3 shapes, what we're going to do is we're going to apply those shapes in a pattern up and down the neck. Okay, so what we're going to do is on the neck of the guitar, we're going to be going from our 1 chord to our 4 chord to our 5 chord, and then we're going to go back to our 1 chord, and then we'll go to our 4 chord and our 5 chord. That's going to be the pattern: 1-4-5, 1-4-5, 1-4-5. Okay, when we do that, we're going to take our starting shape. We're going to do a shape change. Whatever our starting shape is, it's going to be our 1 chord. Okay, from that, we're going to do a shape change. And so we're going to go to the next shape in the pattern, whatever that is. Remember, we're always staying in that pattern of the bar, hammer on, and then to the shape here, okay? So we're going to do our shape change, and then that'll leave us on our 4 chord. Our 4 chord, the cool thing about a guitar is if you're moving from a 4 chord to a 5 chord, all you do is you move up 2 frets. You keep the same shape that you're on, and you move up 2 frets, okay? So that's going to be our pattern. We're going to take our starting shape. We're going to do a shape change, and that'll leave us on our 4 chord. We're going to slide up 2 shapes, or 2 frets, and that'll leave us onto our 5 chord. From our 5 chord, we do another shape change. Okay, so whatever our next shape in our pattern, in our pattern of shape changes, we're going to go to that. So from here, we'll go to here. Okay, so that's the pattern: shape change, slide 2 frets, shape change, and that'll get us back to our 1 chord. And from there, you start the pattern all over. Of note, that 1 chord, once you get through that pattern once, that 1 chord that you end on is going to be a different shape than the one that you started on, right? So if you started on this chord as your 1 chord, when you finally go through that pattern of shape change, slide 2 frets, shape change, you're going to end on a different chord, a different shape, but it's going to be the same chord, right? You can play that, and you can hear that those are in fact the same chords. Real quick, a note about 1-4-5 chords. Why are we using 1-4-5 chords? You can. There's lots of YouTube videos on it. You can dive into music theory if you're a beginner guitarist. Go for it. So I'm not going to spend too much time But 1-4-5 chords are central to Western music. Every lyrical song you use is going to use 1-4-5 chords. Okay, so on this bottom portion of the slide that I've got up, you're going to see, right, okay, so if we start our 1 chord on A, then our 4 chord is going to be a D and an E. If we start our 1 chord on C, then our 4 chord and our 5 chord are going to be an F and a G, right? And then if we have a G as our 1 chord, our 4 chords are going to be C and D, right? And what I want you to do is just register that, and then look at all the songs that you're learning, your lyrical cowboy song, your wagon wheel, right? And they're all using those 1-4-5 chords. And then obviously they throw in maybe your minor 6 chord, and I'll do a follow-on lesson about how to apply those minor chords into this pattern. But for now, just worry about 1-4-5 chords, and you can do any lyrical song that's out there pretty much with 1-4-5 chord. Okay, so now we get to the bread and butter. This is so much fun. This is a fantastic exercise for a beginning guitarist, for an intermediate guitarist who just needs to start accessing the entire fretboard of the guitar. This is it. It's going to change the way that you look at the guitar. You're going to understand how the fretboard works way better, and it's going to give you an exercise where you can just go up and down the guitar neck. Okay, and really no music theory required, which is one of the reasons I love this. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our first chord shape. We're right here on the 2nd fret. And we're going to start on a chord shape barring the D string, the G string, and the B string. All right, that's going to be our first shape. All right, cool. So we're on our 1 chord. What do we do from our 1 chord to get to our 4 chord? We do a shape change. All right, so we do the next shape in the pattern that we already learned. Bam, there we are. From our 4 chord to our 5 chord, what do? We slide up 2 frets, because from 4 to 5, that's a whole step. You just take all those notes and do them a whole step, and there you are on your 5 chord. Awesome. All right, how do we get to our 1 chord from our 5 chord? We do a shape change. So with our shape change, we go to the next shape in the pattern, which is right here. You slide up your ring finger, and then you slide up your ring finger onto the 7th fret, and then you've got your 2nd finger on the 6th fret of the G string, and then your 1st finger on the 5th fret of the B string, right? There's your chord again. That's your 1 chord, right? And you can hear it. You can hear it. Same chord. All right, cool. Now what do? All right, and we're on our 1 chord. We repeat the pattern. So to get to our 4 chord, we go to the next shape in the pattern. Next shape in the pattern is barring, right? Where our 3rd finger was, we bar the D string, the G string, and the B string again. All right, cool. So we're 1 chord, 4 chord. From our 4 chord, we go to our 5 chord. How do we go to our 5 chord? We slide up 2 frets. There we are again, okay? Cool. So 4 chord to 5 chord. And then how do we get back to our 1 chord? We do our shape change. So the next shape in the pattern, that's our hammer on, right? Cool. So that's our 1 chord again. So we have a 1 chord here, we have a 1 chord here, and then we have a 1 chord here. Bam. You just access the entire fretboard of the guitar there. Cool, but it doesn't end, right? We're on our 1 chord. What do we do to get to our 4 chord again? We do a shape change. So the next shape in the pattern, we're on our 4 chord. And then what do we do to get to our 5 chord? We slide up 2 frets. There's our 5 chord, and then our 1 chord again, shape change. There it is. And on the 14th fret, that's where we've run the loop. That's the same chord, it's the same shape pattern, right? Awesome, fantastic. So what I want you to do is to practice going up the guitar neck, going up and then go down it. Once you get used to it, then go back down the chord shapes. Okay, cool. That's fantastic. What else can we do? Well, we don't have to start with this as our 1 chord. We can also start with our 1 chord. We can pick any shape that we want, and we can put it on those 3 strings anywhere we want, and we can start the pattern over again, right? So, hey, let's say our 1 chord is right here. Let's try with that 1 chord right here. What do? That's our 1 chord. We go to our 4 chord. That's a shape change. And then to get our 5 chord, we go 4, 5, up 2 frets. That's our 5 chord. How do we get back to our 1 chord? Shape change. Bam. Okay, cool. So we're back to our 1 chord. You hear that? Yeah, it's exciting. Okay, we're on our 1 chord. What do we do now? Get to our 4 chord, shape change. All right, cool. And then 4 to 5, slide 2 frets, and then back to the 1 chord. Here we go. And we're there. And you can do that with any of those shapes. Start on any of those shapes wherever you want on the fretboard, and you can do the pattern. You can now play in whatever key you want with the 1-4-5 chords, okay? And a great exercise is to just put on a piece of music that you like, put on a country song, whatever you like. Listen for those 1-4-5 chords. Find the one chord in the song, and you'll hear it because it's always coming back to that song. Find it, find wherever it is, and then start playing with those 1, 4, 5 chords up and down the guitar neck. It's fantastic. It's a great exercise, and you're gonna build up that ability to just go up and down the guitar neck. All right, the last thing that I'm going to go over in this video is I think this is particularly cool, but maybe it won't strike you as much. But I want to go over what exactly those shapes that we're doing on the guitar, what they are, right? So when we have our first shape here, and you guys are going to recognize that as your A chord, right? What I want you to realize here is that all we're doing is we're just barring those 3 strings. Do your G chord, do your normal G chord that you were taught, right? How does the G chord relate to the shapes that we're doing? It's not actually open chords here. Those are being held by the neck of the guitar, right? And so the A chord, where you're barring here, it's actually the same shape as the G chord, where those are just open strings on the G, the D, the G, and the B string, right? So, well, what does that mean? That means the G, what you know as the G shape, that's actually the same shape on the guitar as this shape here that we're doing, the A chord, the A shape, right? And so what we can do there is we know that if you've got the hands to do it, you can put your you can access those things where you're essentially doing what a capo does, and you're doing that G shape with that shape that we learned, that first shape that we learned. Cool. The G chord and then that shape, those are the same shape. You're doing the exact same thing on the guitar when you play those chords, right? So let's look real quickly at the D chord, what you know as the D chord, right? Great sound. So the D, what I want you to do is I want you to, instead of playing the D the normal way, where you play your first finger on the G string, the second fret of the G string, third finger on the third fret of the B string, and then your second finger on the second fret of the E string. What I want you to do is you're actually going to be playing the same notes here, but I want you to bar. Just bar from the D string. You can leave the D string open if you want to, but bar the G, the B, and the E string, and then put your second finger down. Right? That's the same sound. That's the same chord as that D shape that you're doing. Well, that's funny. If you just now from that you put your third finger down on the fourth fret of the D string. Guess what? You've got that shape that we were accessing. Cool. Awesome. All right. That's cool, right? All right. That D shape, that's actually one of the shapes that we're using to go up and down the guitar neck. Well, one step further, if you take your pinky and you put it on the 5th fret of the A string, look at the shape you have. But with your pinky, your third finger, and your second finger, if you slide that down 2 frets, you are in fact playing the C chord. What you used to know as the C chord. What does that mean? That means that this shape here, when you play the D chord and the C chord, you're doing the exact same thing on the guitar, right? Why does this matter? This matters because as soon as you start learning how to use these guitar shapes, and you realize that a lot of what you're doing is actually the same guitar shapes, it's just further up on the neck of the guitar, you start to be able to access a lot of notes and scales that you weren't able to access before. Cool. And then the last one, or that third shape that we use, that is in fact it's the same shape as our bar chord that a lot of people use, right? It's the same shape, so you can apply that in various different ways. I hope you enjoyed the lesson there. It made a huge difference in my playing when I started looking at the guitar that way and making a lot of those connections. I highly encourage you to do that exercise just every day where you're going up and down the guitar neck on those 1, 4, 5 chords. That's going to open up a lot of just your skills, your finger skills, and then also you're going to start getting a lot of musical ideas, and listen for those voicings in songs and music that you listen to, guitar music, and you're gonna recognize a lot of those voicings up and down the guitar neck. I think at some point I'm going to do how do you apply minor chords, throw minor chords into this pattern, and then also eventually how you throw the pentatonics into what we've gone over here. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please share it if you liked it. Leave a comment, a question, and I keep jamming.